係我哋 team 啊之前嘅呢個扮 disco 嘅咁打發到時間係10點鐘。
It's getting late.
Good night, officer.
你要休息咯，10點。嗰陣佢瞓咗嘅時候，我哋去翻呢個濱海。去見嗰個女仔，我哋第一次見到，睇到佢唔喺度嘅時候，我去因為阿 Ken 瞓咗覺，咁就我哋去就自己揾嗰個女仔，因為而家結果。
I was just thinking, what a nice day for questions pertaining to a murder investigation.
因為阿 Ken 唔喺度，我哋講下周日夜晚嘅事。
Ah, yes. The night before I saw you in the hallway and reminded you you're a police officer.
呢個係我記起嘅個世界上做第一件事。
Wow. Elysium. You don't hear that term often.
She's a glib girl, but she liked the wording.
你有冇聽到啲咩？周日夜晚嘅話，我間房
There was the usual ruckus. Loud disco music.
音樂。有人嚟揾我咩？
I can't say. Probably not. Sounded like you were flying solo.
你睇到大聲嘅 disco 音樂。
Oh, yes. Various artists. Ostentatious orchestrations prime among them. Oh, were huge where I come from. I was very young then, of course, like 7. Life gets hard, but we go on.
基本上就係變得艱難，係咩？
It would appear so. At around 2 o'clock, the disco stopped and there was a change of pace.
發生咩事呢？
A slow, sad song started playing, like organ
一
music
首
on
舒
repeat.
緩又悲傷嘅歌。
That went on for quite a while. Some of that time you were yelling along to it.
我唱嗰啲係咩嚟？
That it doesn't matter anymore and that we're alone now. It was difficult to tell. The song itself was very quiet and soft, but you sounded like a wounded boar, sir. It was hard to understand what you were singing on top of it.
譬如話一隻野獸。
Yes, it was very cool.
It's impossible to say whether she's being sarcastic or really means it.
之後發生啲咩呢？
Then you started screaming and trashed the place.
跟住開始尖叫。你確定我冇被人襲擊？
No, it didn't sound like there was a fight. It sounded like someone was trashing their room. A window was smashed, the tape player probably, the song stopped. And furniture too. A real destructathon. There was screaming. Then I think you passed out.
做第啲事咧。
There was. I think you screamed that you didn't want to be this type of animal
尖
anymore.
叫。
I may have misheard, but it was sort of memorable. I went out afterwards. Everything was quiet by
4、
then,
5
around 4 or 5. And that was it.
哦，多謝。
No problem, sir.
咦，咁就問咗好難嘢嗰個周日夜晚嘅事。好似仲有啲咩？ 開到係佢要符合即係佢唔喺度嘅，佢唔在場。
The man before you, the material delicate, these are clearly the cadaver slowly twists on the cargo. The material appears delicate and fragile. These are clearly not boot. The cadaver slowly twists on the cargo belt. The hangman's knot, vermilion, an intricate web of blue.
依唔係我要將屍體放落嚟先咯，係先。
Stupendous. I didn't think he'd pull through. That's beautiful.
Keeping her calm, perfect posture, her eyes.
A Villiers 9mm, front-loaded, 2 or 3 barreled.
翻管，哦，我係以為你知要將佢揾翻嚟啫。
Villiers and LaSalle was one of the original 14 Indo tribes of Revachol. Did you know? Artillery and ballistics. Before the revolution, of course, they belong to some Gottwalders now.
She phrases it as if it's a pity. She also phrases it as a transition out of you waving your gun around.
What else? It helps to sometimes hold inventory of the things you've achieved, you know. Of course, Detective. What would you like to know? Good. Of course. Of course.
Don't tell her.
More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything. Glad to have been of assistance.
The gendarme returns. What do you need?
我估呢個藝術都係 Sandy 嘅。
Yeah, it's hers. She just sort of moved it all in a few months ago.
She said if she's going to make truly radical art, she needs a suitably radical workspace.
唔明喎，點解10點先見到佢哋？
And I don't think she could afford rent at an actual studio.
你中意佢藝術啊？
Oh, sure. It's definitely interesting, I would say. I guess you could call her latest stuff a sort of counter-bourgeoisie calligraphy. She's got a real taste for radical slogans.
It's too bad she hasn't developed the theoretical foundation to do truly radical work.
I think she'll get there, though. She's still looking for a subject equal to her ambitions.
我而家就好奇呢個地方有啲咩特殊嘅性質。
The deal? At a fundamental level, I guess you could call it the shattered bones of a dream crushed by capital.
That's really good, Steban. You should save that for an essay.
寫論文。
Thanks, Uli. When the idea is sound, the words just sort of flow.
我聽過呢一度曾經係豪華公寓，幾百萬嗰種。
That could be. It would explain some of the more ornate detailing. But we're speaking in world historical terms here. What this place represents, not what it merely was.
His friend yawns, evidently bored by literal reality.
Go ahead.
呢個係咩？呢個係說服佢哋，你應當成為讀書會嘅一員工。加10。
What's there to be scared of? You've really been cracking the books these last few days. You can go toe to intellectual toe with any reading group in Martinez. Now, chin up. You've got this.
我就想加入呢個小組，我哋幾時開始啊？
Oh, you want to start now? Sure, we can manage that.
You've caught him off balance. The The momentum is already in your favor.
局勢對我有利。
Go ahead and take a seat. Since we haven't had time to prepare an exhaustive questionnaire, I think we can keep this interview more freeform. Why don't you tell us a bit about the books you're interested in, and we'll just see where the conversation goes.
同你哋一樣，我熱衷於政治同歷史書籍。
Absolutely. It's the only proper foundation to develop a real understanding of events.
或者呢道理，我啱啱最近讀完呢個最偉大嘅無罪者。
Don't think I'm familiar with it. Give us a quick summary, if you don't mind.
冇幾耐買過
This is a
本
good
書嚟。
start. They're starting to loosen up. You feel relaxed and in control. You quickly gloss Lopez de Fuego's essential argument, peppering it with your own commentary and asides. Like a river emptying into the sea, the discussion winds its way toward the character of the innocence herself.
But then, any critical account of Dolores Day's reign has to seriously reckon with her atrocities in Margaretania and La Vuelta during the Mesque secession, don't you think?
但係呢個諾佩茲似乎將佢視為一個偉人。
Total nonsense. The greatest thing Dolores Day ever did was get blasted by her own terrier.
If he wants a real critical history, he's got to read on the material conditions of the Mirovan Boilermakers.
白鍋爐廠雞尾酒物質條件。
He's so good, brutally revelatory.
These kids are eating out of your hand, practically. Another quarter of an hour disappears. The questions, now you can sense things starting to slow down. The interview must be reaching an inflection point.
But to Comrade Ulix's point, isn't there value in reading really difficult books, just for the sheer challenge of it?
聽住書籍係幾好嘅，但係同你哋執話實説冇嘢可以代替真正嘅故事。
Okay, we'll bite. What sort of stories are we talking about?
Give them sex and drugs. They're clearly not getting any on their own.
我嚟講係我係點潛入野蟲公司進行調查。
Sounds like old-fashioned revolutionary espionage. Let's see where this goes.
Now you're getting somewhere. These boys aren't even bothering to contain their interest. They want to see how you weave the threads of this story together.
But I still don't see what the lady driver had to do with a strike standoff.
其實係就係一回事咯。佢只不過就係騎野熊公司代表利用佢，就好似佢都試圖利用我。
Clearly there's a lot of ins and outs. It almost reminds me of a Dick Mullen novel.
Another quarter of an hour disappears. The conversation bounces back and forth. Whatever their pretensions, it's clear these two have been craving something real. Now you can sense things starting to slow down. Time to wrap this tale up.
反正無論點，我目前推測就係佢逃嚟到海岸邊嘅某個地方。
Makes sense. It doesn't seem like there's anywhere else she could have gone. I suppose we'll have to leave it there. But listen, gendarme. We could use someone with your breadth of expertise. With just a little more theoretical background, I think you'll be able to make some real contributions.
Yes, I would say he's got serious potential at least.
And with that, welcome to the most ideologically advanced materialist reading group in Martinez. Here's your first assignment. It's an overview of inframaterialist theory. A little basic, as you'll see, but one has to start somewhere.
我將會將佢加入我廣播書單。
You're going to fit right in, I think. Come back when you're done. We'll be here pretty much every night after 10 p.m.
基本上每晚10點之後都會呢度集合。
Do be sure to take your time with the
咁就
reading.
揾到做。
We'll be eger to hear your
算揾到
thoughts.
組織啊！ 閱讀亞唯物主義綜述。每晚10點。先記住呢一點先。頭先嗰本書喺邊度？呢個。
The place feels almost like home now, quiet and dignified around you.
瞓覺。
It's easier this time. Drifting off, your head has found a comfortable indent in the pillow. Your legs and your torso feel like lead weights sinking to the bottom of the sea until they're suddenly light.
我之前聽過呢首歌。
This is the greatest hits material. Black tape, spinning and spinning and spinning. You finally tired yourself, cornered the flicker of your mind and extinguished.
For now, a little while, you can.
瞓覺冇語言或者圖像。
When the pictograms and the hieroglyphs of the world return, they seem silent somehow. The alarm rings quietly too. You're ready.
Ready, but something is coming. It always is.
擘開眼，雙眼。士氣加1。咦？佢寫咩？好似寫咗啦。喂 ，hello， 早晨。
Yes?
佢好似唔知道我哋我哋而家咧就讀嗰個亞唯物主義。
The cover of this pocket-sized volume features a swirl of orange, yellow, and green. The title, A Brief Look at Inframaterialism, is set in an authoritative yet approachable serif font. On the inside jacket flap, you find a brief summary. What is inframaterialism? A highly theoretical branch of Masovian communism, a collection of mystical ramblings by a discredited revolutionary, or possibly both? This brief look, TM, introduces readers to one of this century's most fascinating and misunderstood theories in a concise, jargon-free manner. You turn to the table of contents. The guide itself is divided into several sections with seemingly esoteric titles like Effects of Plasm on Root Vegetables and Mental Projection and Transference. There's also a brief introduction about the life of Ignace Nielsen.
閱讀呢個伊格納斯利嘅生平簡介。
Known to his numerous admirers as the evangelist of the revolution and to his even more numerous enemies as the apocalyptic Shrike, Ignace Nielsen remains one of the most controversial and fascinating figures to emerge in the years of the anti-centennial revolution, second only to Karamazov himself. During his unparalleled life, he helped guide a revolution in one country and found a new state in another. Along the way, he committed some of the most notorious war crimes in an era famed for its atrocities. He is your brother, a fellow doom prophet. And yet, his most fascinating contribution to history may be the most overlooked. His theory of ideological plasm from which his followers and successors developed the school of communism known as inframaterialism.
閱讀第一章。
If you're like most people, you probably believe that your thoughts reside in your brain, right? That's not right at all. Thoughts don't exist in the brain. They float through the air. Your brain is but a fish, swimming through them.
係咁樣咩？
Wrong, at least according to Ignas Nielsen. As Mazov's devoted comrade and leading theoretician, Nielsen was responsible for developing much of the intellectual foundation of communism. But his interests and speculations were famously wide-ranging. During his final years in exile, he produced, among other things, an early guide to home brewing, instructions for raising revolutionary children, plans for a universal pictographic language, and a detailed materialist critique of Dolores Day's chess strategy. But one subject he returned to time and time again was the fundamental relationship between thoughts and matter. We may yet discover, he wrote in his notebooks, that under certain exceptional circumstances, the proletariat's embrace of historical materialism may be so fervent that their beliefs take form in the world of matter as a kind of revolutionary plasm.
等下先，你可唔可以用稍微人稱基礎啲嘅語解釋呢個概念？
Certainly, in essence, Nielsen is arguing that thoughts don't just reside inside the brain, they radiate outward from it. According to this idea, the brain is an ideological transponder, constantly emitting waves of highly politicized energy, which Nielsen called plasm.
Wow.
Woe is right. What's more, Nielsen speculated that this plasm, when it becomes powerful enough, might begin to influence the material reality surrounding it. Hence the name, inframaterialism. Unfortunately, Nielsen passed away before he was able to develop these initial ideas into a full-fledged theory. That work was left to subsequent generations of communist theorists. Building on Nielsen's basic insight, these theorists reached a startling conclusion that a sufficiently revolutionary state might begin to exhibit certain extra-physical effects based on the amount of plasm generated by its citizens.
但係先，甚至唔係呢個理性嘅理論，而係佢追隨者。
Correct, though certain particulars of the theory are commonly attributed to Nielsen himself. The evidentiary basis of those attributions has always been a point of contention between inframaterialists and their critics.
所以呢啲人嘅意思係，只要有足夠嘅多嘅人相信康米主義，佢就會實現。
The actual theory is highly technical, but for the purposes of this brief look, TM, that's a fine working definition of the concept. That's because this is absolute idiocy, not even worth No. There's something here. You can feel it.
好啦，我哋嚟聽下呢個超物理嘅嘢。
Inframaterialists divide the extra-physical effects of the revolutionary state by the level of plasm required to achieve them. At the lowest, or first level, revolutionary plasm is believed to stimulate or invigorate matter without altering its essential properties.
呢個研究見具體係點刺激呢個物體？
To take one example, during the revolutionary period, many communard farmers in Grad reported extraordinary yields of certain root vegetables, most notably turnips.
咁長嘅呢個。
The difference in these yields was simply too great to be accounted for by mere climate or soil conditions. The only reasonable explanation, inframaterialists argue, is the high level of revolutionary plasm emanating from the commune Even today, in parts of the SRV, there are collective farms whose root vegetable yields exceed those thought possible by capitalist agronomists. Who's to say the farmers aren't just cooking the books? Sounds like obvious SRV propaganda. It's also been postulated that plasm may account for the remarkably full and manly facial hair observed on some communist males. Your hand feels clammy against your bare chin. You wipe it along the back of the book and keep reading. Of course, inframaterialists argue that revolutionary plasm may stimulate human physiology in other ways as well. Oh yeah, we're talking about white-hot communist sex, baby. That's correct. Reports from the revolutionary period claim that the most radically devoted communards were able to engage in vigorous intercourse for up to 8 hours at a time. 8 hours? There's no way. Your equipment would be mashed to jelly. Sexual euphoria. Increased sensitivity to stimulation. If you didn't know better, you'd say this plasm stuff sounds a lot like being on amphetamine. And on that note, you feel like you've gotten the general idea of inframaterialism, enough to carry on a basic conversation at least. But if you'd like to go even deeper into some of the more, the book fits quite snugly into your palm. It would also fit comfortably into a jacket pocket. You flip forward a few pages until you come upon a chapter titled Mental Projection and Transfer. When a community has achieved a sufficiently high degree of revolutionary fervor, at this second level, certain hyper-revolutionary individuals may even develop the ability to extend their thoughts into material space and vice versa. According to inframaterialist theory, yes. Under suitably revolutionary conditions, that is. Of course, one doesn't need to be a communist to be attuned to the thoughts of your brothers and sisters. It's become something of a folk legend that during their final meeting, Nielsen and Mazov didn't speak a single word, preferring to sit in silence with their chamomile tea, reading one another's thoughts. One of the minor tragedies of the late revolutionary period is that few reliable accounts survive. Much of what we know of the communards' activities during this period come from memoirs and second-hand accounts, some only written down decades after the fact, and of dubious authenticity.
I suppose we do work quite well together.
Your words hang in the air as the lieutenant scribbles something in his notebook. At some point, he realizes you're waiting for him and looks up with a tightly knit brow. The lieutenant looks at you evenly for a moment, then returns to his notebook without a word.
Did I? My bad, detective. Won't happen again.
As we were saying, it's generally believed that these effects are only exhibited by certain hyper-revolutionary individuals. Generally less than 0.01% of the revolutionary population. Because plasm has never been directly, why are you getting hung up on mechanisms? Open your mind's aperture just a little wider. You're so close to true understanding. This should be more than enough for a stimulating discussion. That said, if you're still yearning for more, you must. Everyone knows. Books say you breeze through that when a society's revolutionary fervor reaches the third and highest level. Inframaterialist theoreticians have postulated that the laws of physics cease to be laws. More like suggestions, according to some of the SRV's leading inframaterialists. Of course, it's impossible to say what exactly happens under these conditions. No known society has ever achieved the levels of revolutionary enthusiasm the theory seems to require. Some inframaterialists have even argued that it might require more plasm than humanity alone may be capable of producing.
研究咗人類以外嘅來源啊。
In the SRV, there have been attempts to organize certain species of aquatic mammals, as well as a few of the higher corvids. But, as of this writing, only human beings have demonstrated the intellectual capacity for revolutionary communism.
人曾經接入過第三級。
There are numerous stories from Samara involving bandits or fascist mercenaries being levitated by farmers from the most ideologically advanced communes. Of course, few of these incidents have ever been rigorously investigated or substantiated. Among known attempts to channel third-level capabilities, the most well-documented is the curious case of It concerns an interesting series of events that took place during the invasion of Revachol. As coalition forces made landfall, a cadre of Nielsen's most fervent acolytes attempted to compress a coalition-era static with their collective will. According to communard law, these acolytes positioned themselves at the top of a redoubt just over the bay of Revachol. From that vantage, they proceeded to visualize pinching coalition warship debutante between their fingers, a gesture believed to assist in the extra-physical materialization of their thoughts. The acolytes, along with the redoubt, were vaporized in an artillery strike before the process could be completed. Picture the lot of them, all standing with their fingers in the air 1 minute, the next reduced to a bloody mist. It's been said, though, that in the weeks following the battle, the captain of the debutante noted an increase in incidents of crewmen striking their heads on unexpectedly low bulkheads. Of course, colorful anecdotes only scratch the surface of what inframaterialists believe may be possible in a truly third-level society. Some have theorized that such a society would be fundamentally unrecognizable, lacking many of the institutions we typically take for granted in advanced societies, including organized governments, financial institutions, and law enforcement. This sounds like a seditious fantasy. How can they allow books like this in print? Others have argued that people living under third-level conditions will be immune to such infirmities, as hung in some of his later writings. Nielsen himself speculated about the potential for an extra-physical architecture that disregards the laws of bourgeois physics and instead relies on the revolutionary faith of the people for structural integrity. Precisely. Nielsen observed that the financial system operates on the same principle of faith. So why not an architectural system? On the following page, you come across a few black and white reproductions from Nielsen's own notebooks. One sketch depicts another depicts a leaning tower wrapped in a dramatic helix. The caption beneath it reads, "The Tower of History." In the corner of one of the reproduced notebook pages, you can make out the following words, written in Nielsen's distinctive estate that has lost the faith of its people, has forfeited the right to exist. That's all right, because if you'd like to try something you breezed when more like suggest, of course, some inframaterial, some have this, others have in some of his later. Nielsen called on the follow. Another depicts a leaning tower wrapped in a dramatic helix. The caption beneath it reads, "The Tower of History." There is no more. If you'd like to read further, may we recommend a brief look at Occidental architecture? Inside, you see a set of steering levers.